Hi, in this video, our group will be discussing social media in the workplace. Hello everyone, I'm Josh from the Key Communicators group of BCOMM 2050, and today we will be discussing social media in the workplace and how to use social media in building a brand and also using social media for marketing and reaching new audiences and also using social media in the hiring process. We'll also be discussing the pros and cons of social media usage within the workplace itself. Social media is a melting pot of different people with different backgrounds, with different needs. So that is your best bet when establishing a company or a business to reaching out to those people who could be looking for exactly what you're trying to sell. All right, so to start our discussion off, let's begin with marketing and using social media for that. Just to define marketing, marketing is the action or business of promoting or selling products or services. And so, how can we use social media to do that? According to lifemarketing.com, they say that buying behavior has drastically changed over a period of time. And all buyers are buying online these days. And so it would be in the best interest of the company or business, small or big, to reach out to those buyers or consumers through social media. Um, Using videos, using ads, any way to sell their business and get it out there in their face. That's going to be the best for exposure. Um, so, for example, if someone is running a bakery, a small bakery, and they want people to know where they're located and sort of what goodies that they have there, their best interest would be to take a little video or take some pictures and put it on a Facebook page. That will allow their video to be surfaced to the public and also to share around. These days, everything is online. Everyone is using their phones and using their computers to seek out businesses, whether they're looking for restaurants or they're looking for stores. That's going to be the main component of marketing or using social media for marketing. Um, for another example, pictures and video. So next up, we have Samantha, who will be discussing social media branding.
Hi guys, Samantha here to talk to you about social media branding. I know Josh just talked about the impact of social media and marketing, and I'm going to kind of just tell you how you can use that to really create a brand name for your company. And by brand name, I mean creating an image ultimately outside of your store or your product name. I came across an article on Forbes.com that talked about the most important steps any company should take while beginning the road to branding themselves through social media. And the first step was finding the right group. So you need to decide, are you looking to reach just the general public? Maybe it's just athletes or musicians. And once you attract the right people, you need to literally speak to them. So engaging regularly and jumping into discussions. If someone is posting about their feet hurting and you're a shoe store, this is your opportunity to really say, hey, I have the right product for you. Not only do you want to just jump into any discussions, but you want to closely monitor your name. So there are filters that will tell you when someone is using your company name, good or bad, and this really creates an opportunity for you to be your own hero. So if somebody is unhappy, use your product or use what your company does differently to solve their solution. And that way the public can see that you're not as bad as someone is saying. I have a close friend, and her name is Stephanie Hines. She owns her own beauty salon, and it's called Blushing Beauty Studio. And since she has began branding her salon through social media, she has seen a huge increase in new customers, which in return really improves her revenue. So she does exactly what Forbes said. She follows every single step, and she's not just posting your average haircut or maybe a hair dye. She's really going above and beyond to think out of the box and how to engage customers. She's regularly posting tutorials of different products that she has at salons. So maybe a curling iron or something for frizz. And on top of that, she's also posting open discussions. One of them was, it was a rainy day, and she said, "Hey guys, what do you use for home remedies? And here's what I use," just to engage people. And since then, it's really created such a large customer base, and in return, people are leaving her great reviews, and it's attracting more customers. So we can see how social media really creates a positive influence on businesses, but just as easy as it creates a rise, it also can completely crumble a business. And I found this out through reading a story on Business Insider about how Yelp completely destroyed a small business owner in Florida. His name is Ed Wells, and he opened a restaurant called Chowderheads. About 8 months in, he had a terrible review left on Yelp. Somebody said the customer service was awful, the food was even worse, and since then, he has seen a dramatic decline in customers. Tourists are no longer wanting to go to his restaurant, and it's forcing him to basically close the restaurant down. Now, how many of us as consumers have Googled a restaurant name or Googled a store and read the reviews before deciding? I mean, over 90% of customers will trust the information they hear from somebody they know or through the internet before making a decision to purchase. So, just as important as social media has in attracting the right people or really establishing the right name for your company, it also creates an importance in who's applying for your company. So we're going to turn it over to Brennan, and he can tell you a little bit more about that.
Sam. I'm Brendan, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about how social media affects the hiring and firing process in the workplace. I'm sure we've all been in this situation where we come home from a crazy party ready to immortalize our night's escapades on Facebook or Snapchat. Right before we hit that upload button, though, a little voice comes up in the back of our head saying, "Are my parents going to see this? Is my boss going to see this?" Most of the time, that answer is yes. And as we all know, once something is on the internet, it's going to be there forever. Next thing you know, your next job review is shot down because you aren't a good fit with the company, or your boss lets you go claiming you're not a good representative of their business. Luckily, there are some laws in place to prevent us from being fired wrongfully in these types of situations. In 1935, the U.S. mandated the National Labor Relations Act, which was first made to help prevent unions from striking and disrupting the flow of goods to the general public, when the issues could usually be resolved through negotiation. When an employee believes they were wrongfully fired, like for being let go because of social media postings, their case could be reviewed by the National Labor Relations Board. This board would then decide if the termination was lawful and could reverse the company's decision and reinstate that employee back with full time. But this act is also there to help protect the employers too. Willow Jackson gives us some great examples of being terminated because of social media in her book To Post or Not to Post. Jackson mentions the story of a firefighter who was using her job to get more likes and increase her following on Instagram, which she was then terminated for. She argued that this was a discriminatory termination and brought her case to the National Labor Relations Board, which ended up siding with her employer. It was against the company's best interest and social media policies for her to use her position at the station for her own personal gain. Jackson also illustrates a different way we can be fired for our social media postings with a story about a Staten Island HR manager. After taking a week off and claiming she had jury duty, Facebook updated her location, revealing the truth that she was actually on vacation in Baltimore. Not only did she lose her job, but she also faced up to 14 years in prison for jury duty summons forgery. Ouch. Don't forget to set those snap maps to private, people. Although this is a great protection to employers and employees alike, this act doesn't prevent someone from not hiring you for your social media activities. So make sure you land that job before you start posting the crazy stuff. When we first think about social media in the workplace, those negative stories are usually the ones that rise to the top. Social media can also be used to help you land a job too. Business Insider states that 94% of recruiters use social media to look for employees, and that most of the searching happens on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a popular business social media website where hopeful prospects will forge social media connections with business people in their area. This website is a great example to show the flip side of the coin that we think of as social media. Although we normally go to thinking about pictures, videos, and the mindless ramblings we normally see on Twitter, many people have used this to find their career or to land that next big deal at their current company. Through the connections section, people can also find people that know their people, so they can help make more interbusiness communication. I hope to shed a little bit of light on both the negative and positive impacts of social media in the recruitment and termination process. I'm going to pass it over to Andrew so he can tell you a little bit more about how social media can positively affect a business. The business. The business. The business.
Any business challenge isn't you to employer over years. Time measures some use on the flip same information is the being more just in the that Euro more distracting than any other. Many of these is actually start case study if it there's like about it was with the company likely really so the positive and probably more all business. People saying it really quick. Away as a way you said
Hi everybody, this is Scott. I'm going to be covering the negative aspects of social media in the workplace. Alright, without a doubt, the biggest drawback to using social media in the workplace is the harm it can do to productivity. People can spend a lot of their work time looking at different social networking sites instead of focusing on work. In my own personal experience working in healthcare, we've had some employees who would, instead of interacting with the residents, they would be busy using Facebook on their phones. And that looks really bad, especially in a healthcare setting. It shows that you don't care about what's going on. Another negative aspect about employees using social media is once they become your employees and they use social media, they are effectively representing your brand. And in the event that they post something that is negative or receives a lot of criticism, that can be potentially very damaging for an image of a company. In fact, if your image and your reputation get damaged enough, it can be almost impossible to recover from this. Misuse of social networking sites can create a very real risk of claims ranging from harassment to discrimination to personal injury and other employment-related stress claims. Social media platforms can be utilized as tools of harassment, victimization, and bullying, giving employees a virtual forum accessible from the comforts of their own home outside of work hours to engage in conduct that might not be workplace appropriate. Such conduct can be humiliating, intimidating, discriminating against the offending colleagues. As social media transcends the boundaries between an individual's work and personal life, social networking sites have permanently blurred the line between work and play, as employees are finding themselves more accountable for the actions of their employees. Another negative aspect to using social media in the workplace is the potential for confidential information being shared when it shouldn't be. It's not uncommon for employees to post confidential information. Perhaps they might do it because somebody gave some feedback. It's pretty easy for people to either intentionally or unintentionally talk about stuff that's highly sensitive. Like as an example, I worked in healthcare, and we interact people with various health conditions and other things. And there's privacy laws regarding healthcare known as HIPAA. And one of the things that you cannot do when somebody's under your care at the facility that I worked with is you cannot take pictures of any of the residents and post it to social media. This is because it would be a huge violation of their privacy. It would also be a big fat lawsuit, and nobody likes big fat lawsuits, especially companies, unless you're some sort of lawyer who gets by on making big fat lawsuits. Alright, and that was our presentation on social media in the workplace. We discussed some key topics like how to build a brand, how to market, how to reach new audiences, as well as hire people. And of course, we discussed some of the positive and negative effects of using social media in the workplace. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you all again. I hope you have a good night.